So the Nintendo Switch OLED model was announced and everyone loved it, right? After literal years of Nintendo fans speculating and hoping for an updated Switch, the reveal of the OLED model, to put it mildly, wasn't exactly what people were hoping for. As the Switch continues to fall rapidly behind modern technology, a revision with boosted power that fixed many of the original Switch's shortcomings was thought to be necessary in order to keep the console competitive with its big beefy boy rivals. Rumors that a Switch Pro would boast improved processing power, 4K capabilities, and even exclusive games were abound for years. Nintendo fans almost universally wanted these new features. So naturally, Nintendo didn't include any of them. Instead of dwelling on the underwhelming reality that is the Nintendo Switch OLED, why don't we take a trip down memory lane, reminiscing on the days of speculation, leaks, and hype that almost always lead to inevitable disappointment. The first hints towards a Switch upgrade came on March 12, 2018, when Nintendo released the 5.0 update of the console system software. While on the surface, the update seemed like a whole lot of nothing, including exciting improvements like receive notification when pre-purchased software is ready to play, and you must be 13 or older to use this feature. There was actually a lot going on underneath the hood. The Switch's core processor is NVIDIA's Tegra X1, and before 2019, it used the T210 model of the chip. The 5.0 update quietly added support for a revision of the Tegra X1, the T214. While little was known about the then unreleased updated chip, the reveal nonetheless led to speculation among the community about Nintendo planning a Switch revision. Barring some asshole on Reddit who claimed to have an uncle who worked for Nintendo or something, the first legitimate news of a potential Switch revision came on October 4th, 2018. The Wall Street Journal published a report written by Takashi Mochizuki, which hinted at a potential Switch revision coming sometime soon. While Nintendo likely had a planned remodel in the works since before the Switch was even released, the quickness with which credible rumors about a soon-to-be Switch revision were likely due to Nintendo's underwhelming performance in 2018. Nintendo's 2017 was unreal. The Switch came out, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, ARMS. While Nintendo's stock price had soared through 2017, it lagged behind the rest of the market during 2018, which many attributed to a lack of AAA software. Really? I mean, 2018 had Smash Bros. And, a Dragalia Lost Nintendo Direct. So yeah, 2018 fucking sucked. Mochizuki's report noted that it would likely release in 2019 and specifically wouldn't feature an OLED screen. Looking at this now, it's obviously referencing the Switch Lite, but an interesting note from Mochizuki emphasizing that Nintendo wasn't exactly sure what this remodel would be possibly implies that Nintendo had been considering some kind of upgrade equivalent to the OLED model even back then. Things were quiet for the next few months until Dr. Serkan Toto, the CEO of Japanese-based gaming consultancy firm Kantan Games, made a prediction to GameIndustry.biz about what 2019 would look like for the industry. He predicted that on top of the Switch Pro that the Wall Street Journal had already confirmed, which they didn't, there would be some kind of cheaper, likely handheld-only version of the Switch introduced to make up for the 3DS's dwindling market share. Dr. Toto had gotten things right in the past, though it was through his knowledge of how the gaming industry functions rather than direct information from any insiders. But of course that fact eventually got lost as the story made its way around the internet. President of Nintendo Shintaro Furukawa was quick to dismiss the rumors, stating that the Switch was the company's primary sales objective. Despite Furukawa's statements, rumors of some kind of Switch revision, either a Pro or a Mini, had steadily gained traction over the year. Nintendo's 2019 E3 Direct was hotly anticipated by the community, with many confident that Nintendo would reveal some kind of new Switch. The 2019 E3 Direct revealed Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing New Horizon, the Link's Awakening remake, Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games.
Battle Cure Corona.
Breath of the Wild 2, oh shit! Zelda! But as everyone sobered up from the Nintendo fan equivalent of a 2-day Coke binge, we realized there was a surprising lack of any new hardware announcements. Shortly after, Digital Foundry technology editor Richard Ledbetter published an article on Eurogamer about the updated Tegra X1 chip, the one that the Switch had gained support for in the 5.0 system software update from the year before. After some digging, Ledbetter speculated that the updated Switch would reduce the manufacturing costs for the console, give it a longer battery life, and maybe even the potential for a sort of PS4 Pro style boost mode for the console. However, E3 had come and gone without any new hardware announcements, so the idea of a new console coming that same year seemed less and less likely. So naturally, Nintendo announced the Switch Lite. The Lite was revealed to use the updated version of the Tegra X1, with the big highlight being an improved battery life from the original model. Only a week later, Nintendo would then quietly update their Japanese and American websites with specs for a silent revision of the original Switch, with this one also containing the updated Tegra X1 to give the new version of the console a much longer battery life. While this normally would have put to rest many of the Switch Pro rumors, as most concrete information was related to the Tegra X1 chip and the Switch Lite, another report from Takashi Mochizuki published in June 2019 revealed that Nintendo, in light of the growing trade tensions and possible tariffs on electronics between the United States and China, would be moving hardware production from China to Southeast Asia. Mochizuki's sources from the hardware production side in Southeast Asia stated that they would be manufacturing 3 Switch models, the current one, the Lite, and an as-of-yet undisclosed third model. Considering the base Switch model with the upgraded Tegra X1 was a silent revision, meaning that from a marketing perspective, Nintendo was acting like nothing changed at all. Many assumed that this mysterious third model was the enigmatic Switch Pro. And the hype train officially pulled into the station. Choo choo. I'm sorry I did that. However, things would remain quiet for the rest of 2019, with the Nintendo community getting their first Switch Pro rumor spoonful right at the beginning of 2020. The Taiwanese website Digitimes reported that a new Switch model with a magnesium alloy body and an improved CPU would enter mass production at the beginning of the year for a release midway through 2020. At this point, most of the community was on board with these rumors. The timeline of the release roughly lined up with Nintendo's previous console refreshes like the new Nintendo 3DS. The PS5 and Xbox Series X were set to release at the end of the year, and considering the Switch had been struggling to play some current-gen third-party releases, a more powerful version seemed to be needed in order for the Switch to stay relevant. Once again, Shuntaro Furukawa was quick to dismiss these rumors, but considering Nintendo has a history of being less than honest about their upcoming products, no one believed him.
Liar.
Another piece of news would drop that month, revealing that the Switch Pro might not be using the Tegra X1, which would make sense, as even the updated version used in the Lite wasn't powerful enough to boost the Switch's capabilities in any meaningful way that the end user could observe. The report alleged that the Switch Pro would be using some kind of custom NVIDIA GPU based on their Volta architecture. However, it also noted that 4K support and any other serious performance enhancements shouldn't be expected, making many people wonder, what was the point? Despite the growing rumors and insider confidence that some Switch revision would release soon, a Switch Pro release in 2020 seemed more and more unlikely as that whole once-in-a-generation worldwide pandemic thing happened. With the entire world stuck inside, Nintendo made so much fucking money from Animal Crossing sales that I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything else for the rest of the year. With the pandemic likely delaying many of Nintendo's plans for 2020, our next piece of credible news wouldn't drop until August of that year, when Taiwanese newspaper United Daily News reported that Nintendo was set to release a new Switch model during the first half of 2021. This was backed by a Bloomberg report from Takashi Is this guy the only person who reports on Switch Pro rumors or some shit? Mochizuki reported that, quote, people familiar with the matter stated that Nintendo would be releasing a new Switch in 2021, along with a slew of heavy-hitting games to help stay competitive with Sony and Microsoft's new consoles. Despite the fact that the system would be releasing next year, Mochizuki reported that Nintendo had not finalized the specifications for it, although things like more computing power and 4K capabilities were being considered. However, his sources asked to remain unidentified, quote, because it's private. That's such a weird way to say that. In October of 2020, another Taiwanese newspaper, the Economic Daily News, would report that Nintendo was looking into partnering with Innolux Corporation, a Taiwanese display manufacturer who works with companies like Toshiba and Samsung, to create a Switch model with mini LED screens, which would serve as a sort of viable alternative to OLED technology. Real quick, I like how the one comment on this article just says fake news. Wait, did that saying make it all the way to Taiwan? However, it would appear that the mini LED screens were never meant to be, as a report from Bloomberg by So-hee Kim, hey, for once it wasn't Takashi Mochi, oh, come on. The report stated that Nintendo had recently struck a deal with Samsung, who will oversee the production of a 7-inch 720p OLED screen for a prospective Switch Pro. Production was set to begin in June 2021 to prepare for a holiday release, and although handheld mode would remain capped at 720p, Bloomberg reported that when in docked mode, the new Switch would be able to output 4K. Both Nintendo and Samsung declined to comment about the situation. Furukawa once again stated that Nintendo had no plans to release a new Switch, and Universal Display Corporation, the company that creates displays for Samsung, mentioned that they were creating OLEDs for the Switch Pro in their quarterly financial report. Wait, what? Where there's smoke, there's fire, and at this point there were simply too many things pointing toward the existence of a Switch Pro. It was inevitable, and it appeared that it would only be a matter of time before Nintendo officially revealed the new Super Nintendo Switch Pro and Knuckles, or whatever stupid shit they were gonna call it. In the following months, a few more hints were dropped about the Switch Pro's existence. Industry insider and Resetera user Nate Drake revealed that the Switch Pro will have exclusives a la Xenoblade Chronicles on the new 3DS. The Spanish website Vandal revealed that Nintendo would be making the giant leap into the latest technology from 2007 by putting a LAN port on the Switch Pro's dock. Another report from Bloomberg in May 2021, yeah, it's Mochizuki again, I'm running out of jokes to make about this guy single-handedly keeping Nintendo rumor channels in business, revealed that Nintendo planned on releasing the Switch Pro as soon as September 2021. According to The People, Nintendo might even end up revealing the Switch Pro ahead of their E3 Direct in June. So yeah, that didn't happen. And with the passing of the biggest gaming press event of the year, many speculators and Nintendo fans accepted that a new Switch model wouldn't be on the table. So naturally, Nintendo revealed the Switch OLED model a week later. With that, the confirmation of a few things, like the OLED screen, wider kickstand, and LAN port, proved to give some of the leaks validity. However, things like improved processing power, 4K support, and console exclusives seemed to miss the mark, as Nintendo revealed that, internally, the OLED was no different from the base Switch. Nintendo gonna Nintendo, and fans were left disappointed after getting spoon-fed rumors of a Switch Pro that, honestly, as depressing as it is, just makes too much sense for a company as obtuse as Nintendo to release. The same sites that peddled rumors of boosted CPUs and 4K capabilities turned around and told everyone that the Switch never needed that stuff. Forum users turned against each other, blaming others for hyping up something that was bound to disappoint, and I don't know, people probably took to Twitter to try and get someone canceled or whatever the f they do on that website. While many were left disappointed, at least the speculative Nintendo community could be at peace after years of being strung along with hype and rumors. While JK, literally the day the OLED model was announced, rumors of another Switch Pro already started.